For use of my social media, it's come to my attention that other teenagers like me want to get started investing in the stock market but actually have no idea where to start and what to do. So after knowing that, I'm going to give you the 3 simple steps that I personally took as a 17-year-old to start getting investing in the stock market. Now, before I give you the answer to all your troubles, please know that I myself have only been investing in the stock market for about a year now, so I'm no shape or form a pro. I just fully understand the struggle when it comes to starting to invest in the stock market as a teenager. Also, please let me tell you, this is not financial advice in any shape or form. This is purely me telling you how I started to invest in the stock market, which in hindsight will help you start your journey. Step 1, you of course have to pick a trading broker. From the UK, I would recommend Trading 212 as that's the one I use, or if you're from the US, you can use Webull, Robinhood. Any of those will do just fine. Now, these brokers are good because you don't have to pay a transaction fee. There's also no sneaky hidden fees and they're very beginner friendly. Now, I know what you're thinking, Callum, I'm only 18, how can I invest in the stock market? As you probably know, I myself am 17, so I had to get around that hurdle also. Now, the way I got around this whole thing was speaking to a parent. See, my dad is an investor himself, so when I asked him if I could set up an account, he fully understood. I set it up under his name and I basically managed it and dealt with it. And then when I turn 18, I would take over the whole account. Now, if you're not as fortunate to have a parent that understands this whole process and you can't do it under their name, don't panic, I have another solution for you. Because another good thing about Trading 212, Webull, Robinhood is that you can basically trade with fake money. They'll give you a certain amount of money, such as 50 grand, and you can use that money how you please. So the idea of this is they'll give you that money and you can basically chuck that money into whatever stocks you like to get a better idea of how the market works as a whole. And really get a glimpse of the ups and downs of the cruel market. And I'd recommend doing this anyway before actually putting any real money in, because doing this a few weeks prior to you putting real money in trading can give you a real proper understanding of how the market works and the consequences. The only bad thing is, obviously there's no backlash if it goes wrong, so you don't have to take any risk. Step 2, of course, you have to actually learn the market, and I know this is terrifying as it's basically going to a whole new world, but trust me, you do not want to go into it blind. There's loads of ways to learn about different terminology, index funds, mutual funds, dividends, etc. Now, you can always take a modern approach to learning the whole thing, such as YouTube, blogs, but as I'm telling you how I started, I'd definitely recommend some books. And I know what you're thinking, books, and trust me, I hate reading books too, but it can actually teach you a lot about the market in such a short amount of time. And of course, when you're reading something you're passionate about, it becomes much more easier to understand and engage with the whole thing. So the first book I'd recommend is The Little Book of Common Sense Investing by John Bogle. He is a legendary pioneer of mutual funds and he teaches you how to get the most out of your investing, low-cost index funds, the way you can retire a millionaire, etc. The second book I would recommend is The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham. This is also a great book, goes over all the basics and the fundamentals of investing and just generally gives you a basic insight on how to get started. This enables you to get your strategies correct off the back and not be confused when different terms are thrown at you. And the third book I'd recommend is Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. Now, this book doesn't only go over investing, but it goes over the whole concept of knowing what to do and how to control your money. It also teaches you about compound interest, retirement funds, and everything concerning that. Now, if it really makes you want to throw up, I completely get that, so I would recommend you some YouTubers. Starting off with my favourite, Graham Stephan. He's a 30-year-old millionaire who gives constant advice on the stock market, directed at teenagers, and is very, very easy to understand. Another YouTuber I would recommend is Andre... Andre Geek. He gives loads of insight on the stock market, is very prolific portfolio and easy to understand for beginners especially. And finally, Ricky Gutierrez, who makes simple videos understanding how to get investing in the stock market, swing trading, ETFs, penny stocks, and more. Now you know more about the market, step 3 is basically choosing your investment strategy, and this really comes down to either actively investing or passively investing. I myself am a passive investor as I invest in what's known as the S&P 500, which is the top 500 companies in America. It has an average interest rate of 10% annually, not only that, but has compound interesting, which is amazing. And all you have to really do is go over to a simple interest rate calculator. Let's say you're a teenager who's able to invest $200 a month into the S&P 500, and I know this is in dollars, you're probably from the UK watching this, but it doesn't really matter. Let's say you invest it for 40 years. This may increase or decrease how much you're able to put in annually, but let's say it's $200 a month for 40 years, every single month. With the S&P 500, with an average interest rate of 10% compounded annually, let's see what you would get at the end. Now, as you can see, at the end, you'd get a whopping $1.127 million just by investing $96,000. That is for 40 years. Let's say you can invest some more annually. Now, that number just increases and increases over time. And that's thanks to compound interest, which is this thing here. With simple interest, you would see a graph, something like this, but with compound interest, you see it just rapidly increases. Now, you yourself can find a calculator like this. You can mess around with the numbers, see what would suit you, and then see what you can come out with at the end. So say you did it for 50 years at $300 per month, 10% interest rate, which is what the S&P 500 is on average. And you know, that already increases, boom, from 1.21 million to 4.448 million. And that is just insane. That is pure power of compound. Now, let's say you don't want to wait 50 years to retire. I completely get that. But the whole point of the index funds, such as the S&P 500, is to let compound do its job. So the longer you leave it in there for, the more money you get. Now, if you're an active investor, you're constantly looking at the market and constantly seeing what you can update your portfolio with. Now, this isn't like day trading when you pick a stock, wait for its dip, invest a super amount of money into it, and an hour later take it all out hoping for profit. But you just keep an eye on your stocks and wait for the next big thing. Another good thing about trading 212 I want to add is that you can use this tool called pies, where you can basically create your own little index fund full of companies you choose from. You can add whatever companies you like, adjust the percentage of money you want to put into each company, and then put the money in accordingly. The cool thing is that you can completely automate this entire process because you can see an estimated, and I mean estimated, return depending on the time frame and the money you add. Let's say monthly for 20 years, I put £300 into this small pie. Apparently, I would get £963,000 back. Please take this whole concept as a big pinch of salt, as it is not what it seems. And this is all just a value projection based on the previous results. Another cool thing about trading 212, which you can't do on the computer, is you can actually look at other people's pies and copy them. You can find one that has a good annual return or in a specific category such as consumer goods, tech, electric vehicles, or even a monthly dividend paying one. Dividend being money that the company gives you back for investing in their stock, almost as a thank you. So you can actually find pies where you get monthly income from different companies you're invested in. But like I said before, be sure to take these with a big pinch of salt, as they are not all what they seem. But regardless, instead of investing money individually into stocks, you can put it all into a pie, have it automated, which definitely helps me out as a beginner. So now you know what trading broker to use, how to learn about the whole market and your strategy. And I know a big worry for people is, oh, it's risky to invest in the stock market, or it's risky to put your money into the S&P 500. What if it crashes? Well, let me reassure you with some knowledge. The S&P 500 had been launched on a small scale in 1923. It began tracking over 90 stocks in 1926 and expanded to 500 in 1957, hence S&P 500. It had been giving out an average 10% interest rate, give or take, since 1926. So for the whole S&P 500 to crash, the whole American market would have to crash. In a way. And when it comes to investing in individual stocks, the number one rule is to do your research. And if you've done this before anything, you've done it correctly, then it isn't really risky. Because at the end of the day, it's only risky when you're unaware of the possible outcomes. If I could give you any last bit of advice, stay the fuck away from penny stocks, never ride a hype stock without doing your own research on it first, and make sure to take everything you learn from Wolf of Wall Street and apply it in this case. I'm joking, of course, but do be careful when investing in the stock market, especially as a beginner. Take everything slow and steady, there is no race. And last but not least, don't believe everything you see on the internet. When you see tens of thousands of dollars in return, it's usually because they've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars into the stock in the first place. If this video has helped you out at all, you've learned something from it, or you want to become financially literate, leave a subscribe and leave a like for the YouTube algorithm. It would really help me out a lot, and I would love to bring more content to help teenagers like me who want to become more financially literate. I'll see you next time.